Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are all fine and doing well. Today we are going to complete the second unit of the book about computer systems. The last point we were talking about is how to compare between two things, or how to use the comparative form of adjectives. Now we stopped at page 13, task 7, reading. Read these products descriptions and make sentences using comparatives. So here we have two devices which are actually flash memory devices. The first is Corsair Flash Survivor GT 8 gigabyte, and the other is Emission Clip Flash Drive. So the description or the features of each device is provided, and we want to use this information to compare between these two types of flash memories. This is, as I've told you, on page 13 that I will be sharing with you now. So if you read the features here of the first one, it says that it is 8 gigabytes, which means the capacity of storage is 8 gigabytes. The other is 4 gigabytes. Read at 34 MB, blah, 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 megabytes. And so we want to use the information in the boxes to make a comparison between these two devices. So the first one is 8 gigabytes, the other is 4 gigabytes. So we can say that Corsair Flash Survivor is bigger than Emission Clip Flash Driver. Let us name them Flash A, Flash B, faster. If you look at the price, the first one is 25 pounds. The other one is 10 pounds. So, which is cheaper, which is more expensive? You can say that Flash A is more expensive than Flash B, or you can say it also the other way around. You can say Flash B is cheaper than Flash B. The first one is made of aluminum, the other is made of plastic. The first one is 10-year warranty, the other is 5-year warranty. Can say that Flash A has longer warranty than Flash B, and so on. So the point here is to apply this rule comparative when you want to mean between two devices. Now we have a speaking task. Actually are offline now, so you can't practice this. Work in small groups. Make a list of all computer software you use in your work or study. Think about application software. So you are supposed to name some of the computer examples of computer software. And by the way, if you want to pronounce the word software, you don't pronounce the T. The T is sound. So you say software as if there's no T. So examples of software: application software, programming software, system software. And I'll give you myself other examples such as drive software, multimedia, web browser, graphic software, word processor. That's Microsoft Word is basically a software. Educational software, spreadsheet software such as Excel or SPSS, and presentation software. These are a few examples. Here we have another grammar rule, which is the superlative. All right, so I have to show you this on easier, I have to show you this on a whiteboard. So now I'll explain to you this rule. The superlative form. If you still remember, I told you last time that adjectives have 3 degrees. Adjective, the adjective level, the comparative level, the superlative level. An example of the comparative adjective level is big. Comparative level is bigger. Superlative, it is the biggest. So use the adjective to describe one thing, one entity. If you want to talk about 2 things or describe 2 things, you use the comparative form, which is er. You add er to the adjective and then after it. So you can say here bigger than to be more accurate. And we have a 3rd level, which is the superlative. It's kind of صيغة تفضيل, somehow similar to صيغة التفضيل في اللغة العربية, الأكبر. So if you want to compare between more than 2 things, you use the superlative level. How to form this? You use the before the adjective, and then instead of adding er, you add est. So how to form the superlative form? The plus adjective, and then you add est to the adjective. You are not going to add than. Example, biggest. And we want to put this biggest in a sentence. For example, computer A is the biggest in the shop, for example. So it is bigger than any other computers, the biggest. The new, another example, the new monitor is the fastest in the room. So the adjective is fast. If you want to compare this monitor with the rest of monitors, there are more than 2 monitors in the room. So you say the fastest. The program is the easiest to use. The adjective is basically easy, and because we are comparing between more than 2 programs, we use the superlative form, which is the easiest. And notice that the adjectives here are small adjective or short, big, fast, easy, small, large. All these are short adjectives. So in this case, you add the before the adjective and est to the adjective. And pay attention to spelling, because I told you before that the spelling of some words changes when you add particles like er to them, such as the adjective big. It has become double E. We double the G Because the G is a consonant sound preceded by a vowel. If you have a word ending with a consonant, and this consonant is preceded by a vowel, so you double the last sound and then add est. Easy also, it has changed its spelling. Basically, the word spells this way, but when we add ast to it, it has changed its spelling. The Y turns into I. Because if you have a word ending with Y, and this Y is preceded by a consonant like S, S is a consonant, so we change the Y into I and then add est. So big, fast, easy, small, large, these are short adjectives. Or in other words, these are one syllable adjectives. So in this case, you use this formula, the adjective est. But there are other types of adjectives that I will be showing to you, which we use, which we call longer adjective. If you want to use, for example, the adjective difficult. Difficult is what? It is a long adjective. So it has different formula. In this case, we will use the most plus adjective. We will follow this formula. So you say the most difficult. For example, this test is the most difficult. This is, of course, hypothetical example, but your test, of course, is not gonna be difficult. The most difficult in the course. So you say the most, not the difficultest. It doesn't work because difficult is more than one syllable, longer adjective. So you use another formula, which is the most plus adjective. Like we did with comparative level, you say, didn't say, for example, difficulter, but more difficult. We will use another adjective, expensive. His computer Rami's computer is the most expensive. And by the way, you can use the most or the least, which is the opposite. So it's not only most, you can still also use the least plus adjective. You can say the most difficult, the least difficult. The most expensive, the least expensive. This seat is the most comfortable. Here are some examples of long adjectives, such as difficult, expensive, some common adjectives, comfortable, reliable, beautiful, for example. All right. And there are two adjectives which are irregular, as I've told you before, that they don't follow the same pattern. They are irregular adjectives which are good and bad. So they don't follow the same rule. If you want to use good in a superlative form, you would say what? So the superlative form is of good is the best. So if you want to compare between two things, you say better than. But for more than two things, you say the best. The best, computer, for example. And if you want to use the adjective bad in the superlative form, you say the worst. Let us put them in a sentence. Here you have two examples in your book. That is the worst software I have ever used. That's the worst software I have ever used. As for the best, I really like this website. This website is the best. Notice that we are using what? Computer vocabulary. Software, website, computer, monitor, processor, and these words. These are related to computer. You can, if you want to, revise this rule, you can find it in your book, page 14. There is a summary of this rule. It is called superlatives. You can find it on this page, and this table summarizes the whole rule. Now we'll move to the following page. This is a listening task. Working with computers. Listen and complete this dialogue. This is a dialogue between two people, Paul and Brinitha. There's a conversation between these two people, and throughout the conversation, they will use this superlative form. And I want you now to listen to the recording and try, while you are listening to the lecture, try to solve the task yourself. Now listen to the recording. Listen again now. All right, I hope you have already listened to the conversation and completed the dialogue. So if you listened well, you will find that the answer to number one is the. I will try to make the font shorter. It is the best. And here the answer is I'm going to a wrong page. Actually, this is the conversation. Here the answer is the best. And the answer here is correction. Number three, fastest. And number four, the best. And number five, effects. Number six, the best. Number seven, forming. Number eight, the most. And number nine, compression. All right, you can screenshot this. Now we'll be discussing another grammar rule, which is the present tense of have got. This is a very easy rule of grammar. You use have got when you want to describe position. For example, I have got a pen, I have got a book, I have got a computer. So you say I have or you have. And this is the contraction of have. So the full form is have the short form is have this way. I have, it's pronounced have. But generally speaking, you can use contractions or short forms in speaking. Try to avoid using contractions in writing, particularly formal writing. Usually they are used in speaking. And what about has? The short form is of have is has. Has is written this way. Same abbreviation of is. So I have got. You have got. She has got. So we use have with who? With I, we, you, he, she. Let me show you this also on a whiteboard. So we'll talk about have got and has got. Use have got, has got when you want to talk about positions. The abbreviation or the short form of have is have. And as for has, is, has. Use them in speaking, not in writing. Which pronouns go with have? I, you, we, they. With these pronouns, we use what? Have. So we use have with these pronouns or with the plurals. Plurals, for example, we want to say people, the girls, and so on. As for has, he, she, it. For these pronouns, we use have. Sorry, has. And here we have, and as for I, we use have. For example, she has got a new cell phone. This is an example of a sentence with has got, which means she possesses. تستخدم للملكية. طبعا إذا تعلمتي أي قاعدة في اللغة الإنجليزية تعلمي كيف تنفين الجملة وكيف تكونين سؤال. So we will learn how to change this into negative. This is positive or affirmative. جملة مثبتة. كيف نحولها لجملة منفية؟ طبعا, as I've told you before, if you want to negate a sentence in English, you simply add not. Not دائما مكانها بعد الفعل المساعد. So in this case, it will be she has not. She hasn't got. A new cell phone. Or if you want to write it this short form, you can say she hasn't. This is the short form of not. As we have to add not here. Not, the short form of not is this. Blah, 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 blah. And how to ask a question? I told you before that there are two types of questions. The yes/no questions that require an answer of yes or no, and WH questions that begin with WH words such as how, when, where, which, why, and these words. So now we want to form a yes/no question. So the question will look like this. Has she got a cell phone? So has will go first and then with the pronoun. So you will reverse the order. I think your teachers used to tell you that المقص أو عكس الترتيب. So you will do this way. Has she got a cell phone? The answer will be either yes or no. So yes, She has. Are. No, she has not. And if you can also use you use two ways to negate and to form a question. So you can say she hasn't, or you can also say she does not have. She doesn't have blah blah blah. So that you can use does and don't for negation, and for question also. You can ask this question: Does she has? Does she have? Does she have a cell phone? I hope this is clear for you. And all actually the rule is summarized here in your book on page 15. So there we go. This is the rule I have just explained to you. Present tense of have got. So I have, you have, we have, they have got, and she has got. You say I haven't got, he hasn't got, or you can also say didn't have and doesn't have. And as for questions, this is how to form questions. Have you, have I, have they got, has she, has he, it, has he got. Or you, instead of has or have, you can use do and does, because basically, why do we use do and does? Because this is a present simple, and for present simple you use do and does for negation and for asking questions. So you have two options. Can say also do they have, does she have, and so on. And got is optional. You can say I have a cell phone or I have got a cell phone. They have got a computer or they have a computer. Both ways are correct and have the same meaning. But got is more, formal. When you say I have got a book, for example, I have got a computer, this is more formal than saying I have a computer or I have a book and so on. I hope this is clear to you. Now we have listening. Instead of playing the recording, I will read the sentences myself. Listen, I repeat the sentences. Now, I will read these sentences. I want you to repeat after me silently. While you are listening to this lecture, try to repeat after me. We have got the best software. Does it have the most reliable antivirus software? Number 3, she has the cheapest computer. Number 4, they haven't got the latest version. Number 5, do you have the fastest processor? Number 6, has it got Windows? Number 7, they have the latest software. Number 8, it has the biggest screen. So this is a description actually of the picture next to these sentences. And why I ask you to repeat, listen and to repeat, because in this way you will learn or acquire the correct pronunciation of words. Correct pronunciation is not less important than correct grammar and structures. Now we will go to another language task. grammar, present continuous. This is another rule. Actually, this unit contains plenty of rule of grammar. Now we will deal with the present continuous اللي هو المضارع البسيط. المضارع sorry, let me show you this also on a whiteboard because it's important. المضارع المستمر. I told you before that the main tenses of English are three: past, present, future. But the present has actually four types: present simple, present continuous, present perfect continuous. Today we are going to talk about present continuous, one of the most important rules of grammar. You must have studied this before, I'm sure, but this is just a revision, which means in Arabic المضارع المستمر. So if you want to learn any rule of English, you have to learn three things. First, the general formula اللي هي القاعدة نفسها يعني بشكل عام، مثل قواعد الرياضيات س زائد ص like this. So I try to write it to you in a shape of a rule. الشيء الثاني صيغة الجملة في شكل الجملة في صيغة الإثبات، وشكل الجملة في صيغة النفي، وكيف تكونون سؤال. طيب أولا القاعدة وش تقول؟ القاعدة subject plus، هذه قاعدة عامة يعني، subject plus am or is or are plus verb with ing. Okay, subject this S stands for subject اللي هو الفاعل إما اسم ظاهر أو pronoun like he, she, it, they, the 7 pronouns. بعدين B بصيغة المضارع am, is, are. Then verb with ing. Example: let's take or let me write it down to you again. Take an example of a sentence. She is reading a book. So she is what? The subject. Is B. Read. The verb is basically read, then we add ing to it. Reading a book. When do you use the present continuous؟ عندنا أزمنة مختلفة. متى استخدم الفعل هذا ومتى استخدم الفعل هذا؟ المضارع المستمر يستخدم لوصف فعل يحدث الآن في اللحظة الحالية. For example, I am teaching. Now I am teaching. You are listening. حدث يحدث الآن في لحظة التحدث. At the same moment. تستخدمين المضارع المستمر. For example, let us take another example. They are eating lunch. All right. I am teaching English grammar. Okay. أنا قلت لكم إذا جيتوا تعلمون قاعدة تعلموا صيغة النفي وصيغة السؤال. Now we want to change these sentences are positive مثبتة. I want to change them to negative بنفيها. Keep this always in mind. ننفي الجملة باستخدام not غالبا يعني دائما موقعها بعد الفعل المساعد. وين الفعل المساعد هنا؟ اللي هو this am is are. So if you want to add if you want to add not, you will add it after these here this place not بعد الفعل المساعد. You can add it as long form or short form. So she is reading a book. It will be what? She is not reading a book. You can write it this way or in the short form. She isn't reading a book. They are eating lunch. It will be they are not or they aren't eating lunch. I am teaching English, so same way. I am not teaching English or I am not بالنسبة للسؤال how to form questions أنا مثل ما ذكرت لكم سابقا الأسئلة نوعين yes no questions and WH questions. So for example she is reading a book. I'll show you how to ask questions. We have these three sentences. We want to write questions using the two types of questions. As for yes no questions, so will you do the same as I've told you before? You will just reverse the order of she and as. So it will be is she reading a book? Is she reading a book? طبعا of course when is comes to the beginning you have to write it with capital I and then she when it's not at the beginning you change the capital S into small s. So is she reading a book? The answer is either yes or no. Yes, she is, or no, she is not. They are eating lunch. I want to ask yes no question. It will be, so try to guess while I'm writing. Are they eating lunch? So same thing. The answer will be Yes or no? Yes, they are, or no, they aren't. I'm teaching English. I am is tricky. So when with am, you have to change I am in the answer into you are you in the question, because I can't ask myself am I, unless if I'm asking myself. But usually you ask are you teaching English? So are you in the question change into I am the answer, and vice versa. Now I want you to how to form the other type of questions. So we'll use these same sentences. She is reading a book. I want to ask about book. So which question word I will be using? What? Because I'm asking about thing. So the question will be what is she reading? So this is the order of the words. First, WH word plus auxiliary اللي هو الفعل المساعد plus subject plus verb with ing, then question mark. What is she reading? They are eating lunch. I want to ask about lunch. I will follow the same way. What are they eating? I am teaching English grammar. I want to ask what I am to what are you teaching? I hope this is clear for you. You can screenshot the this. So this is a summary of the rule. You will find it on page 16, this table. Present continuous. So this explains everything about the present continuous. We use the present continuous to talk about things that take place at the time of speaking and are not permanent. يعني مو مستمرة لكن في وقت الحدث، في وقت التحدث. عندنا هنا جمل أمثلة. I'm installing the software. So this is the contraction of am. You drop the A, then place apostrophe instead of it. He is, she is setting up a new network. They are working at home today. I'm not. So these are what? Positive sentences, جمل مثبتة. These are negative sentences. These are questions. I'm not setting up the network. She is not installing the software. They are not coming. So if you look at these words written in bold, you will find that they follow the same rule that I have just explained to you. As for questions, are you installing it now? What am I doing? What are you, they doing? What is he, she doing? So this is yes, no question. And these are WH questions. Now we want to solve this task about the same rule. Complete these sentences with is, isn't, am, not, aren't. So I will leave this as homework for you. This is gonna be your homework. So I want to show you how to do it. So number one, it going well. So what do you think is the appropriate completion? Actually, it is going well. And then remind me, inshallah, next lecture to check your answers. Match the sentences. Now we will move on to vocabulary number 3 on page 17. Match the sentences halves 1 to 8 to A to H. Here we have sentences on the right from 1 to 6, and we have words on the left from A to F. We want to do matching. Matching معناها وصلي. Hanka is, I'll tell you the answers because you are now offline and you can't participate with me. And I do want to assign this also to you as homework because I do want to give you lots of homework. Hanka is creating a file. Philip is inserting an image. Rob is troubleshooting a checkup. We are running the software. Betty is connecting a device. They are burning CDs. So these are the correct answers. I write them down to you. This is C. This is F. This is B. This is A. This is D. This is E. And this is a listening task. Listen and repeat these sentences. Now I will say these sentences and I want you to repeat silently, to repeat after me with yourself. What are you doing now? Number 1, what are you doing now? Number 2, are they setting up the network? Number 3, she is working at home today. Number 4, I'm not installing the software. Number 5, we are not using Word. So repeat with yourself while listening to the lecture. And you will notice that these sentences are written in the present continuous tense. Task 5, look at the picture AF, describe what is happening. The example, he is moving. So here now we have 6 pictures. 6 pictures of people. So I want you to describe what those people are doing. Picture A, picture B, picture C, picture D, picture A, picture F. So explain in one sentence, write what they are doing. But use the present continuous. because you are describing what they are doing now. For example, I give you an example. I want you to complete this. And this is also another homework. This is also homework. But I'll give you number one example. They are working on the computer. They are working on the computer. Present continuous. I want you to do the same with the rest of sentences. Let's move on. Computer usage. Read what Ben says about computer usage in his office. Answer the questions. What must Ben do? What can Ben do? What can't Ben do? Can he open any website? Why is it important to follow computer do's and don'ts? So this guy, his name is Ben. He is working with the computer and he's talking about himself. So in these sentences, he says, for example, I must update my calendar all the time. I can't access some websites. I mustn't eat food at my desk or put drinks on the computer. I don't have to back up files every day. That's automatic. I have to log in using my username and password. I can use Excel, but my colleague can't. So we want to answer these questions. What must Ben do? So you read these sentences that he said about himself, and based on the information that he provided, you answer these questions. Actually, the answer is number one. I must update my calendar. This one. This is the answer to number one. What can Ben do? He said I can use Excel, but my colleagues can't. What can't Bill do? But instead of saying you say hey, he can't access some websites. Can he open any website? He said I can't access some websites, so the answer here is no. No, he can't. Full stop. Why is it important to follow computer do's and don'ts? You can say to avoid computer damage, for example. Do's and don'ts يعني الأشياء التي تفعلها إرشادات أو تحذيرات. ماذا يجب أن تفعل؟ ماذا يجب أن لا تفعل؟ Do's and don'ts. This is an expression in English, which means the things that you have to do and the things that you avoid to do. And this is also another rule of grammar, very easy one. Using must, mustn't, can, can't, don't, have to. So must and can, these are modal verbs. أفعال ناقصة في اللغة الإنجليزية اسمها أفعال ناقصة. كيف طريقة استخدامها؟ تأتي بعد الفاعل. So this is the rule. Subject plus modal verb اللي هو must, can, have to plus infinitive. هذا تلخيص القاعدة. What does that mean? Subject مثل ما قلت لكم معناها الفاعل. We, you, they, have, you, I أو اسم ظاهر. بعدين modal verb سواء must أو can أو have to. must, can, have to هذه اسمها modal verbs في اللغة الإنجليزية. These are not the modal verbs in English. There are many actually. May, might, should, also, shall, will. الكلمات هذه must, can, have to. Keep this always in mind. Always, always, always verb after these words comes in the infinitive form. الفعل بعد الكلمات هذه must, can, have to دائما الفعل في المصدر. الفعل في المصدر. إيش معنى فعل في المصدر؟ يعني الفعل من دون أي إضافات، من دون اس. إحنا أحيانا دائما يعني أحيانا نضيف الفعل في أزمنة مختلفة، نضيف للفعل إضافات معينة مثل اس، مثل es، مثل d، مثل ing like the present continuous. إذا قلت الفعل في المصدر يعني الفعل الأول من دون أي إضافات. And here we have examples of sentences. But before we take examples, متى نستخدم must و can؟ must معناها يجب، بس يجب بمعنى الفرض obligation. It's used for obligation. We use must and mustn't for obligation. طبعا must بصيغة الإثبات وبصيغة النفي. الإثبات must، النفي mustn't أو must not. can معناها possibility أو ability، معناها يستطيع، إمكانية. We use can and can't for possibility and ability. We use have to for something that is necessary. شيء يجب فعله. فيها فرض لكن أخف درجة، يعني من must فيها إلزام أكثر. We don't have for something that is not necessary. So as I've told you before, when you want to learn any rule of English, try to learn the negative form and the positive form. طبعا if you want to change these into negative, you add not after the modal verb. يعني after must تصير mustn't. Can't, cannot. Have to, don't have to. And here we have example sentences. You must come to work on time. So if you look at this sentence, you will find that you, this is the subject. Must, this is the modal verb. Come, this is the verb in the infinitive. So come here, it is infinitive, with no additions, with no ed or s or ing. So you can use must or must not. You must not be late. He can use the word, but he can't use Excel. So he is the subject, can is the modal, use the verb in the infinitive, or can't. I have to, I is the subject, have to is the modal, log in, this is the verb in the infinitive. And if you want to change have to into negative, you use don't have. So this is the negative form of have to, don't have. I hope this is understood and clear to you. So let's move on. Business matters. Company asks you to recommend a computer and workstation configuration for their sales team. In small groups, decide what to recommend. Use the office floor plan below to prepare the computer and workstation configuration. Think about these things. هذا مخطط غرفة لشركة يعني بتجهز مكتب حاسب or something like this. المطلوب أنه تقترحين اقتراحات في متعلق بمخطط الغرفة باستخدام المودال verbs. يعني بتستخدمي must, should, and can, and have, and these things. There are 6 people in the sales team. 5 people are out of the office 4 days of the week. One person is in the office all the time, the team admin assistant. Employees need a network connection, wired and wireless. Employees print, scan, and copy. Company and client data must be stored on a separate device and backed up regularly. So you are supposed to make recommendation regarding the room. So because here it says there are 6 people in the sales team, you can say there must be, let me write some example sentences. There must be 6 desks, for example. There must be a network connection there must be a printer, a scanner, because they need to print, scan, and copy, and a copier. And also there must be a storage device. This is the answer to this question. The rest of things are less important. Don't bother yourself with them. Don't bother yourself with them. This is the end of our lecture today. I hope that everything is clear and understood. Goodbye and have a good time.